Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever really thought about the kind of crazy vulnerability that comes with just sleeping in a hotel or a resort? I mean, you're trying to relax in a totally unfamiliar environment, and you're relying on a single, fairly basic lock to keep out literally hundreds of strangers who are sharing the exact same building with you. Today, we're looking at a couple of true accounts that show exactly why that one little lock might not be enough.
Okay, let's dive into this, because it's a terrifying reality when you actually stop and think about it. Are you ever truly alone in a hotel? We check in, we shut that heavy wooden door, and we just kind of assume the world is sealed off, right? But the truth is, you're sharing walls, hallways, and access points with people you know absolutely nothing about. And we naturally establish this completely false sense of security in these unknown spaces. Our expectation is, total relaxation and privacy. We just want to kick back, unwind, and forget the outside world for a bit. But the reality? Well, it can actually be extreme vulnerability and exposure. The two true stories we're going to explore today perfectly capture how fast that illusion of safety can just completely shatter.
Section 1. The Woodlock Pines Window.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how all these seemingly innocent, relaxing details actually set up their total exposure. Picture a woodsy, really isolated resort nestled away in Pennsylvania. Our storyteller, a high school sophomore at the time, is on an optional chorus field trip in November. He and his buddy Landon are sharing a ground-level room. And crucially, this room has a clear sliding glass door that looks right down a hill at a lake. So they get back after a long day, it's around 10 p.m., and they decide, hey, let's leave the blinds open because the moon is giving off this really cool reflection on the water. It sounds incredibly peaceful, right?
Well, that piece absolutely did not last. The boys had spent, maybe an hour just rolling around in their beds trying to get comfortable, when suddenly Landon screams, just out of nowhere. The storyteller whips his head over to look at the glass door, and what he sees is straight out of a horror movie. Standing outside in the pitch dark, peering right into their room, is a very tall, extremely skinny older woman with long grayish hair. Her hands are cupped against the glass right next to her face, just staring in at them. By the time the boys finally gather the courage to run outside after her, the cement trail and the brass around it are completely empty.
Section 2. The Midnight Guest. And this brilliantly illustrates a fatal flaw in their security logic on the second night. So if the first night was deeply unsettling, night 2 escalates things to an entirely different level of fear. Look at this comparison. On night 1, they left the blinds open to look at the moon, but the door was securely locked. On night 2, terrified from the night before, they make absolutely sure to tightly close the blinds. But somehow, the sliding door itself was accidentally left unlocked. In the middle of the night, the storyteller wakes up to pure dead silence. He sits up, whispers Landon's name, nothing, no answer. And when he turns to look at Landon's bed, his view is completely blocked.
Towering directly over his bed in the pitch black is that exact same tall old woman. She takes 2 steps back, leans in, and whispers, "Your back door was unlocked."
Let that sink in. After delivering that incredibly creepy message, she literally just turns around and walks outside. The boys are left frozen in bed, just violently shaking. They finally lock the door and manage to stay awake the entire rest of the night. But here is the truly frustrating real-world outcome of this whole nightmare. The very next morning, they see the old woman and a highly disturbing-looking older man sitting in the neighboring room, staring right at their door. They immediately report it, but the resort staff just casually states the woman has mental disorders and actually refuses to kick the couple out. Seriously, no way. Because the hotel flat out refused to enforce basic safety, the chaperones were actually forced to end the school trip early, just so the kids could escape. Section 3. The Hampton Inn Lockdown.
Now, let's shift gears from a woodsy, isolated resort to what most of us perceive as the absolute safety of a branded corporate hotel. The storyteller here is staying entirely by herself at a Hampton Inn in New Jersey while she's visiting Rowan University. I mean, it is the absolute picture of mundane comfort, total solitude. She returns to her room for the evening, flips on the TV for some background noise, and just starts getting ready for bed. There is absolutely zero reason to feel unsafe.
But then, the environment slowly starts turning against her. She gets back around 8:30 p.m. just to relax. But shortly after, this bizarre alarm starts blaring through the whole building, and it's accompanied by a looping message instructing all guests to remain in their rooms because the hotel is on lockdown. Adding to this totally confusing sensory overload, a blinding white light begins flashing continuously from the corner of the ceiling. She naturally assumes it's just some strange emergency protocol, so she shuts off the main lights and tries to sleep. But at 9:30 p.m., with that bright white light still flashing in the dark room, the hotel room phone suddenly rings.
She answers it, fully expecting the front desk to announce that the alarm is finally shutting off. Instead, a very concerned woman's voice on the other end tells her to remain calm, walk out the door, and says, "There is somebody inside the room with you."
Section 4. The Closet Intruder. Let's move to and see how this builds, because just let that sink in for a second. The sheer panic of realizing the threat isn't out in the hallway or down in the lobby. The threat is already inside your locked room with you. She drops the phone and instinctively begins a frantic search of this tiny space in the dark. Step 1. She checks under the bed. It's empty. Step 2. She checks the bathroom. Also empty. Step 3. Her eyes land on the sliding wooden closet door located right next to the bathroom.
The sliding closet door was open just a tiny, tiny crack. And as she looks closer, through that narrow opening, a person's face is staring right back at her. Out of nowhere, the door suddenly slides shut. Obviously, she completely freaks out, bolts out of the room, and runs absolutely as fast as she can down to the front desk.
Down at the front desk, the horrifying truth is finally revealed. Security footage from an hour earlier showed a really sketchy man wandering the halls, specifically searching for a room. When he found hers, he actually opened the door using a keycard he had somehow acquired. The authorities arrive and literally take the man out in chains. He even stares at her as he passes by. But here is the most agonizing realization of this whole ordeal. He had actually entered the room before the lockdown even started, meaning he was silently watching her from inside that dark closet for more than an hour while she relaxed, watched TV, and got ready for bed.
Section 5. Never truly alone.
So, the crucial point is, it is deeply unsettling to know someone could bypass hotel security so easily, right? What are the actionable safety lessons we absolutely must take away from these horror stories? Well, relying on just the electronic door lock or the handle lock simply isn't enough. Always utilize the manual deadbolts on your hotel door the exact moment you step inside. Always use the physical security chains or those metal latches that can't just be bypassed with a swiped key card. And above all, no matter how comfortable the room is or how highly rated the brand might be, never assume you are truly alone in an unfamiliar space.
Which leaves us with one final lingering thought. The next time you swipe your key card, listen to the click of the lock and shut that heavy wooden door behind you, ask yourself, who else has a key to your room? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and please remember to always stay vigilant when you travel.